Hello, my name is Will Carmack. I'm a visual effects artist and animator here to tell you about the new Adobe Stock Panel. The new Adobe Stock Panel is creating a pipeline that is so amazing and seamless. You're now going to be able to go from the Adobe Stock Panel in Premiere to After Effects. And so as a digital artist, I can make an entire original animation without ever leaving Premiere and never having to film anything. So obviously our first step is going to be opening Adobe Premiere. We'll click on New Project. And if we go up to the top where it says Window and click on that, you'll see just a little bit down this list, the new Adobe Stock Panel. Let's click on that and you'll see it pop up. You can dock it to your UI. It might already dock itself like it is right here. And you can make it as big as you'd like. You can see here, there's some really juicy title animations you can download. We've got some video backgrounds, visual effects assets like the smoke here, video overlays, some pretty animated lower thirds, whatever this is, and cool transitions like you see right here. Music and sound effects too. The Adobe Stock Panel in Premiere has everything. So out of all the different categories we can play around with up here, I'm gonna select on videos. And I'm interested in history. I love animating history videos. So I'll come to the top where it says search videos and I'll just type in the 1930s. You can see a bunch of archival footage has now popped up that we can sift through. You can see this all looks pretty amazing and it's crazy how many vintage looking assets that they actually have. I'm actually gonna go with this one at the very top. This is actually a time lapse of Times Square from the 1930s. If you don't wanna commit to actually downloading and licensing a clip, you'll see right here, this arrow will let you download a preview. So let's click the download preview. And this is one of the best parts. So you can see right here that it creates an Adobe Stock folder in your project panel. It creates two folders. You can see the one for the licensed version and the one that this video has now gone into, the preview versions. Double click on this folder and you can see we have our preview clip right here. So if we drag this into a new composition, we can see it and preview it right here. Once you decide you like the clip, let's go back over to the Adobe Stock Panel and we're gonna hit download. I'm gonna use some of my plan credits to license this asset, and we're just going to click on license. And if you don't want to have to worry about the credits, you can sign up for the Adobe Stock Unlimited plan, where you don't have to think about credits, you can just focus on creating, because it provides full access to the over 900 million assets on the stock panel. So definitely check out the Unlimited plan, so you don't have to worry about how many credits you have for all the different assets. And now if you go back to our two folders, you'll see now in our licensed version, we have the high quality original clip ready to go. So I'm going to search for Times Square. Oh, you can see it actually pulled up images of Times Square. This is kind of a cool example of some of the other cool assets you can get in the Adobe Stock Panel, but I'll come up to this adjustments tool right here and we can just switch it back to videos. And now I can look through all these different time lapses of Times Square. Ooh, this one looks perfect. I will download this one. You can actually choose your preferred resolution. For this one, I'm of course gonna pick 4K and hit license. So now in our licensed version folder, we have the old version of Times Square and the new version of Times Square. So I'm gonna select these two clips, and if you drag them down to this little icon here, you're just creating a new composition. And now we have both of the Adobe Stock clips in our Adobe Premiere timeline. Because I'm a digital artist and an animator, my software of choice is always Adobe After Effects. So now we can select both clips, right click, and select replace with an After Effects composition. It's now gonna open both of these clips in Adobe After Effects, completing the Adobe Stock Panel to Premiere to After Effects pipeline. And so now in After Effects, we'll make a simple and easy transition. First thing I'm gonna do is scale up the old footage to fill up the composition. And if you come over to the right to the Effects and Presets panel, we're gonna type image wipe, which is a simple and easy transition we can use. So I'll drag that onto our old school clip right here. In the effect controls over here where it says completion, if we crank that from 0 to 100, you can see the image just slowly fades away. So we're gonna grab our modern time-lapse clip and drag it underneath of our old one. So now at any given point, we can crank the completion to 100 and go from our old school time lapse to our new school time lapse. I'll find a spot where I think it would be a good transition. I'm thinking maybe right here. So I'll just create a keyframe for completion, and over a couple seconds, I will crank the completion to 100. And now we have this incredible transition between 100 different years of the same location. And once you are happy with the animation you've done inside of After Effects, you can go back into Premiere. Now your animation is right here, completed in Adobe Premiere, where you could then do sound design or use any of the Adobe Premiere tools that you're comfortable with, thus completing our Adobe Stock to Adobe Premiere to Adobe After Effects pipeline that is amazing for any animator or digital artist. If you're like me and you love animation and you love editing and maybe aren't the best filmmaker, or maybe don't even have time to go around and filming footage to practice with, having the Adobe Stock Panel and Adobe Premiere is now a great new asset for any type of editor or animator who wants to practice their craft. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Check out Adobe Stock, start practicing some edits and animation. Where there's a will, there's a way. My name is Will, and have a nice day.